So hi guys, so today this is my first episode of the MBT show, and somebody had told me I should talk about corruption and money. People like talking about money, which is a good thing because the reason why you wake up every day, to the reason why if you come think about it, the reason why we go to school, the reason why we wake up every day is to look for money. Now, I want to have let's have a conversation about a very big problem that is happening in our society, and this is the problem of corruption. I want us to take a step back and see how corruption affects our society. From the macro level, where you say politicians are stealing big things, to the micro level at an individual level. So I'm going to talk about the psychology of corruption, and eventually the psychology of money from a different perspective. So when we hear about corruption, the first thing that we think about is this person is greedy, this person is selfish, these politicians they're inhumane, they don't care about us, right? We tend to associate corruption with evil, with bad people, with people who have no regard for human dignity. That's why you say you see these weak people are talking about how can a sane human being steal money meant for hospitals, like the SHA scandal that you're talking. So in this country, if you have grown over the years, every regime has come with its own scandals. There's the Anglo leasing, there was the Lyco Regency, there was the Kimunya must go during Kibaki's time, there was Aurora and Kimwarer, there was KEMSA, there was NYS Waiguru. This regime has come with a lot of issues with corruptions, the edible oils, the SHA, and those kind of shit. But the truth of the matter is, corruption doesn't just start from the bigger level. These people who are stealing were at some point good human beings. They were at some point genuine about starting, about bringing change. And this conversation is interesting because I've had this conversation with my very close friends, or with my guys, and we were talking about that time we were going to watch the game of Harambee Stars versus Zambia. And so we were talking about, I think we were looking at the president's motorcade, and we were talking about how this guy has a lot of money, how this guy has a lot of resources, and of course the normal instinct there is that this is stolen money. But I think we are going to just have a little breakdown about the psychology of corruption, what goes through the human thought process when you want to steal money, or we want to be corrupt in whichever position you find yourself in. And so people tend to think that corruption is something that is very big, it's something that is out of us. But there's actually an important component about corruption that we need to understand, and that the first step of being corrupt for any human being, there has to be that component of moral disengagement. Why there's that process that human beings go through from being a good, innocent person, a loyal employee. I think the other day you were seeing in Sierra, this guy has stolen 100 million. But when this guy got into that position, probably was a good accountant. I saw his background. He comes from a Christian family. Everyone in his family is a pastor. So what is this process that people go through for you to become corrupt? And I believe the concept of corruption starts in the mindset. And that's what I was telling my friends. Personally, I've never in my entire life, I have never made a shilling out of any form of corruption. Talk it, when I was a doctor, there was no single patient whom I told him, give me this amount so that I can do this amount. In fact, during internship, when I was in Bungoma County Referral Hospital, during internship, there was this it's in public hospitals there are long queues. So I was in maternity, so you find like you have 15 patients to operate. Some of them are not emergency, so those we call them elective. So there's this lady that had come, and this lady became a very good friend, a very good friend. So her sister had come to for operation. She was an elective case, and she'd been there since Thursday. Can you imagine? So it's Sunday afternoon, nothing. So this lady approaches me. I was an intern, and she says, "Hey doc, there's this patient of mine. She has been here since Thursday. Can you sort me?" And then she gave me 2,000. I looked at her and I was like, "No, I just want you to sort her." I just laughed. I in fact, funny thing I did, I just gave her the money. I said, "It's okay. I don't need the money. I'm going to sort your patient," without any form of payment. And so this lady was shocked because, as it has been the norm in public hospitals, it's called quid pro quo. You give me something and then I give you something. That is the mode of operation of corruption. But there's this moral disengagement theory. There's this guy who is called Albert Bandura's model of moral disengagement, which basically analyzes the psychological tricks that our minds play with us when we want to be corrupt. And there are specific mechanisms that we tell ourselves in the process of becoming corrupt. So my conversation with my friends, it was like, so these friends were telling me that in that conversation at Kasarani, they were telling me that this guy says, I'll not mention him because maybe it might have issues with his reputation. People don't want to be told or to be heard about what they think about. But he was telling me basically, if he ever gets a chance to steal, he'll just steal enough not to cripple the economy. He'll just be stealing 1 million shillings alone. Yeah, I just want to have a chance to steal 1 million shillings. I don't want much. So I asked him, do you think everyone in Kenya is corrupt? Or not everyone. Do you think there are more corrupt people in Kenya than non-corrupt people? It was him and my other friend. And they say, yes, everyone in Kenya is corrupt. And I asked him, do you think we would have a country if everyone was indeed corrupt? I don't think everyone in Kenya is corrupt. I don't think we have more corrupt people than non-corrupt people. I think we have more people of integrity than corrupt people. And that is how, for some weird reason, we are still a country. Can you imagine in every step that you walk, everyone wants a bribe? From the moment you leave your compound, the watchman, the traffic police, when you get to work, everyone wants. Or if you're going to seek a service, let's say today you're waking up, you're going to the bank, somebody at the gate wants a bribe, at the bank a bribe, maybe you're going to the hospital, everyone. So basically they will not have anything functional in our society. And that's why I think we have more good people than bad people in our society when it comes to this thing called corruption. Now, according to Bandura's moral disengagement theory, there are processes that we go through to try, in the process of becoming corrupt. You were an innocent boy in primary school, you were an innocent child in high school. In fact, all of us in high school were against corruption. And people use this line. There is what we call the first mechanism that we have is moral justification. Most people tend to justify why they're doing the things that they're doing. I have a sick child, my mom is sick, I've not paid rent. So you're basically doing moral justification of why you're corrupt. Now, at first you'll say that most people become corrupt at an early age because they have problems. Policemen will say, I'm living in a very deplorable state, that's why I need to collect 1, 2, 3, 4 at the traffic, A nurse will say, we have not been paid for 6 months, that's why I need to get this. So I need to feed my family, I am sick and wherever. So there's always the concept of moral justification on why we do these things. And we see it all over. I mean, anyone that steals, anyone that scams anyone, there's always a moral justification, and it does not justify anything. You're not the only one who has a problem. Everyone. Now, can you imagine if everyone with a problem stole? If everyone with a... Because people have problems. I have many problems as I speak. I have a lot of problems. But I don't decide to go and steal. I don't become corrupt just because I have a problem. There's no moral justification for corruption. So the first mechanism that people use is they try to morally justify this. The second thing that we do, and it's quite common, is euphemistic labeling. We have a lot of labeling. So you euphemize or euphemize corruption. When somebody says, it was just a gift, chai, it was just tea, that is not a bribe. If you have been arrested on traffic, you always chukua 200, chukua chai, chukua kazawadi. So we euphemize the small things that we see as corrupt, and in the process we are trying to rationalize. Okay, so we call it euphemistic labeling. You call it tea, you call it nini. Yeah, tea is the most common thing that we do. So you realize you started by morally justifying I have a problem, and then the corrupt person wants to bribe you. Okay, take this tea so that I can get away with whatever shit I've done. We all do this kind of things. Now, as a society, we are so morally corrupt that we have this phenomenon of displacing responsibility. The third concept from Bandura's moral theory is the displacement of responsibilities. You have heard so many times people say the system is broken. Yeah, the system the system has failed. Okay, nothing works. This is Kenya. And in fact, one of the most common phrases that we use is, this is Kenya. Hii ni Kenya bwana. This is how we do things. I think you see it everywhere. We call it displacement of responsibility. We have acknowledged that nothing works in our hospitals. We have acknowledged that NHF had 30 billion that disappeared. So we have brought SHA. We don't expect it to work because that is how things work. So displacement of responsibility. We blame the system. We don't take personal responsibilities for our action. And then there's the diffusion of responsibility, where we say that it is a phenomenon. It's common. Everyone is stealing. Everyone does it. I mean, if you're a policeman and you're working in traffic, and people are everyone around you is stealing, you are highly likely to become corrupt because everyone is doing it. So you'll come and say, everyone is corrupt, so let me also be corrupt. So it's called diffusion of responsibility. There are so many examples, and these are things that happen in our society, and these are things that we tend to encounter every day. Now, one of the things that we don't realize, this has effect in everything that we see. At the macro level, you look at, this is not working. So we become immune, or we normalize the concept of corruption and the consequences of corruption. And that's why you'll find that SHA is not working. In serious countries, if this was the state of healthcare, people will be going home. The president will have a very difficult time. People will be lynched. But because we are in the slippery slope of corruption, we have normalized it, and so psychologically speaking, we are numb to corruption. And that's why you see these politicians find it easy with us. Okay, they find it easy with us. I was looking at a tweet that somebody said, and he said he was looking at the members of parliament in our country, and this was a very interesting post. I just saw it today, and he was saying 70 members of parliament have cases in court. Okay, have cases in court, and he said it is like a prison. So there are cases of corruption, there are cases of murder, there are cases of, you name it, physical assault and all those kind of things. So, but these are the people we elect. I don't have to give examples, of Kinawaluke. I'll give example of, now I want us to, now there's a concept that we call foot in the door. Foot in the door effect means we rationalize corruption such that we allow corrupt people in our circle. And the moment you accept that politician anaweza iba, then anaweza kuja kuniletea pesa kidogo nimpigie kura, that is a foot in the door effect, that you rationalize even the small effects of corruption, and we give a leeway for these people to have advantage of us. So we're giving a leeway for a bigger scandal to happen. That's why you look, the higher you go in the political scale, the more corrupt you are. So if you want to be an MCA, steal some small money. If you want to be an MP, steal like Waluke. If you want to be a president, steal like whoever you know. A foot in the door effect. Now, I want to give a personal experience story. I'm sure most of you know this story. And this was, I'll give just and I'm going to pose a question to us. So there are consequences of corruption, mental consequences of corruption, psychological consequences of corruption. Now, one of the most common consequences of corruption is what we call moral injury. Moral injury is where the concept of morality is down the drain. The concept of being a good human being is down the drain. To the extent that when you look around, you're the only one who appears to be doing the right thing. We have completely massacred morality. We have completely massacred integrity. Now, this week and past week, we have had incidences, for example, on X, where people have been loaned money and they have failed to return. This is a very interesting story. So there are people like Njoki who was given 2K. I don't know about the story. Even let's go back to my story. So there's the story of my ex, Marion, a very nice person by the way, who trended. I think I also trended for 4 days because she scammed her friend some money. I was also in that mix because my cousin was also involved in that mix of the money. So now I look at how we hold these people accountable, how we hold Njoki accountable, how we hold Marion accountable, how we hold Cairo accountable, how we are very vicious about them, and that is perfectly fine. I mean, if you take people's money in false pretense or in disguise, or you collect someone's money and fail to return to them, you actually deserve to be bashed as much as you know. We don't care about the other side of the story. First, there's your other side of the story, but there's this main thing that You have taken someone's money. It's very difficult to get this money. I see people bitching about 1,000 shillings, 2,000 shillings, 3,000 shillings, 500 shillings, 500,000 shillings, very bitterly, very viciously. You know, I look at, for example, my ex, she can't dare come back to that platform. There's no one who cares about that. And that brings me now to the psychology of money. I think I'll address this at the same time as I'm talking about the overall mental cost of corruption, psychological effect of corruption, how it affects us as people. So there's this book that is called, I have it here. So there's this book. I'm sure Morgan Uzziel, Psychology of Money. If you've read this book, it talks about money. And money is the root of all evil. I personally have never understood why we are very much obsessed with being rich. Because every problem that I see in our society, every fight that I see at an individual level, I'm talking about moral injury, is because of money. Now that book, The Psychology of Money, has two sides. This book gives one side of money. I'm not rich, I'm not the richest man on earth, I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to money. But I think I've seen and handled money for me to have a very interesting perspective about money. I started working at the bank when I was 17. And there I could see millions. There's a guy who used to come and deposit. You can imagine in 2012, this guy was depositing 10 million every week. Can you imagine where he is right now? We are friends. I've had interaction with billionaires, real billionaires who have built businesses. James Mwangi is one of them. Peter Munga is another one. They have people you see they have built well. And my only issue with these people is their psychology of money is what Uzziel talks about. How to accumulate more, how to remain at the top, how to be rich, how to make more at the expense of others, how to protect your money. That is one side of looking at it when you're talking about psychology of money. But this other side of money, which I really like it. As a philosopher, I always say that there are two sides of the story. So my other psychology of money is it's more guarded. Like I don't want to be rich. I've never really been interested in being a billionaire because I like a peaceful life. So more money, more problems. Definitely. Right? So I'm looking at these incidences, and I'll give this example of why my ex-girlfriend has problems in the concept of moral injury. I'm not going to discuss her, but I'm just going so that you pick things. So you become a victim of money if that is what drives you every day. And that's why you see me talking about living a life of purpose. If you sleep and wake up just thinking about money, if you're going to do that work because of money, if you're going to do that business deal just because of money, then there's a huge chance that you'll get in trouble from that money. If you look at people who build things, you know, if you look at people like Elon Musk, people talk about Elon Musk. He became a billionaire out of what he likes doing. He's passionate about it. He understands technology. He was coding as young as 9, 7. He understands. So he has always wanted to go to the space. So his vision aligns with what he likes. And so he makes money out of it. So you find yourself in an opportunity that is good. You see that there is money flowing around, and you tell myself, I think I can make more in this environment. I need more money. I want to get this I want to get that, I want to buy these apartments, I want to, so you are always a deal breaker. You just like cutting deals, you just want money. You're very, people talk about, and I've had interaction with women are very funny with their money. I mean, the reason why we have very few women billionaires is because they are very selfish with their money. Money is very emotive to them. That's why you'll find a woman will easily have an apartment. You're the wife, she's your wife, but you don't know she has an apartment. Women are very secretive with money. And the question that I always ask myself is, why are you taking this money? I mean, unless you plan on being a single parent, unless you plan on, I don't know what you want to be, but if you want to be a normal woman in the society, you shouldn't be waking up and thinking about money. Because another reason why women are not billionaires is because, psychologically speaking, they are unable to understand the psychology of money. They are very emotive when it comes to money. I lost a relationship with my very close cousin because of money. Just because of my ex. Because there was this I think it was $1,000 or whatever amount it was that she owed her. And this lady caused chaos. She was very emotional. I don't blame her because it's your money. And then she has worked hard for it, rightfully so. And so she's allowed to be angry about her money. But at what expense? I told her today, I don't talk to you. My relationship with you, it's over. And I don't regret about it because it's not about the money. It's how you react when there's money around you. My relationship ended with my girlfriend because, not that she was not a good person, not that she was not a hardworking person, but because of what money made her do. All the shitty decisions that you made because of money. All the fact that because you have made some money, you don't listen. Okay? So you can't listen because today you're making this money, you can't listen. Nobody can tell you shit. Those are the attributes of corrupt. These are people, when they find an opportunity to make, they become corrupt. I'm not going to get in a lot of trouble, but man, that is it. Our moral injury is so severe that we even tend to shame the honest people, But if you are not corrupt, you're actually shamed. How can you not be corrupt, my friend? People don't see it, but how we behave with money, how we behave around money. And that's why we work so hard and we can't really get that satisfaction. Okay? Another effect is mistrust, and this is very common. We don't trust anything about our systems. We have developed what we call chronic anxiety when the systems come. We have post-traumatic stress disorder with our systems because of corruption. Yesterday I was engaging some people on X about this share scandal, and even I heard today the MPs, I think there's this MP Anthony Kibagendi and Sifuna, they were talking about the corruption in the Ministry of Health. And one of the people that they were hunting so they said the chairman must go, the minister must go. What was interesting for me was the CEO must go. There's this doctor, she's called Dr. Mwangangi. Is it Sheila? She's the CEO of SHA. I think she worked under Uhuru's time as the CAS Health. I like her. I mean, she's this beautiful lady. She's qualified. Okay, she knows her shit in terms of healthcare administration. She found herself early in that space. I don't know how she did, but that's not the point. The point is she's fucking qualified. So yesterday people were saying somebody said Dr. Mwangangi should resign before she ruins her reputation. The other day, the president formed a team or a committee to look into the compensation of victims of police brutality. And people are saying or telling the LSK president, do not take that position. It's a trap. They were telling this guy is called Uton, I don't know, he's the chair of what human rights. Do not take that position. It's a trap. Why do you think that is the case? It's because we have mistrust in our institutions. We don't trust our government to do shit. We don't trust our policemen to do shit. We don't trust our hospitals to take care of us. Everyone is corrupt. And so the psychological consequences of corruption is mistrust. That affects you mentally. Because if today, imagine you are sick and you want to take your pregnant wife, maybe your wife is expectant and you want to take your pregnant wife, assume you only have KNH, Mama Lucy, those public hospitals, where will you take your wife? You might even prefer your wife to deliver at home. Why? Because you don't trust these institutions. If today you lose something and you go to the police, you see these conversations online, that if you have lost your phone, don't even bother going to the police station, because what will they do to you? They will not help you, they will mock you, they will ask for bribes without doing shit. That is the level of mistrust that we have in our society. Now, there's what you call learned helplessness. Learned helplessness. You know what is supposed to be done. You are intelligent. You find your, I always say, people always ask me, Doc, why don't you take position in one of these government positions, let's say the Ministry of Health. And so I ask myself, so if I today become maybe the Director of Health and I go into this ministry, I remember, I'll give you a story. And I go to this Ministry of Health and I sit down and I try to implement shit. But it so happens, everyone around me is corrupt. Everyone around me is fucking corrupt. So learned helplessness means I look around and I say, even if I try to help, there's nothing that can happen. So let's just steal. Okay? Things won't change. I can't change shit. So let me just steal. Let me just steal, because that is what people are doing around me. Okay? So, there's a friend of mine, he's a senior doctor, quite a very good doctor. He was appointed to the former NHIF board. Okay? And this guy was telling me, he went to that NHIF board and was shocked. That place was like a marketplace. People were literally hawking. Everyone was buying apartments and clothes in Nairobi in that board. Everyone had a very nice car. And somebody asked him, Doc, come in. Do this. Why are you not buying something for yourself? These are professionals, bro. These are not dumb people. These are learned, educated, who are mandated with the task of heading something like NHF. No, that is a fucking privilege, bro. You are given that privilege to lead something like NHIF. So this guy was telling me he had to resign. Like, he could not, it didn't make sense. Me, I want to work. I want to do change. I want to impact something, A, B, C, D, E. And then you're telling me to steal. Yeah? So this guy resigned. Moral helplessness. Of course, now the other thing is we become a hopeless country. We are with apathy. This is common with the youth. You become hopeless. You wake up every day. You have nothing to do. The government says there's these funds, youth funds that are to be. You don't even believe it. You will become hopeless. Yours is to just wake up and ask for cabbage. There is apathy There's nothing that comes out of the politicians or out of the system that excites you. You have lost hope on politics. You have lost hope in our healthcare. You have lost hope in businesses. You have lost hope in our team. Like, that is where we are as a society. We are very fucking hopeless. And that comes with apathy. So that is the problem that we have. That we are, we have become hopeless. We have become hopeless. So that is what corruption does to us. So it's always in the mind. So you have seen the journey of being corrupt and how it now. So you just find yourself in that system, and it happens everywhere. So somebody told me to talk about corruption in healthcare. Like I said, healthcare is one of those ministries or sectors that actually operate with structures. There are clear structures. It's not like a ministry of fisheries that you don't know what you'll do, ministry of agriculture, you don't know what you'll do, ministry of finance. Like, universally speaking, the Ministry of Healthcare has these structures. And they have a framework as guided by the WHO. WHO says these are the frameworks. These are the healthcare systems, pillars. This is human resource. And it gives even recommendation that this number of doctors per patient, this number of nurses. It's actually a very easy ministry to run. And it's also the most emotive ministry to run. So emotions pave way to a lot of things. It can pave way to good healthcare. That's why you go to serious countries, they take the healthcare system seriously. America is one of the most corrupt countries in the world, but they have serious healthcare systems. Their education, their healthcare, or their medical curricula is very regulated. In fact, I've never seen a country in the world that is that strict before you become a doctor. That is that strict before you become anything. Because they understand they are just a people of 300 million people, but they understand that healthcare is very important. It might be costly. It might have its issues. It might have infiltration like big pharma and vaccines, the things that we talk about, but systems work. I have happened to experience the healthcare system in the United States. It works. You go to a state like Maryland, it has thousands and thousands of clinics, thousands and thousands of professionals, different medical insurances, Medicare, Medicaid, the personal medical insurances, they fucking work. They steal from their reserves. They have cocaine, they have all those kind of shit, but they take care of the healthcare system. Now that is the opposite here, because healthcare is very emotive. Healthcare is, we saw the other day, the CEO of a certain healthcare insurance company was shot. Was it in New York? He was shot fucking dead. And the story is that this guy, I think the mom had issues with she was sick, and she was insured by that company that the guy had led, and the insurance company did not pay for the medication or the treatment of this guy's mother, and so I think the mother died or something, and so this guy took that shit personally. Okay, so that tells you that healthcare is very emotive. Now, what happens in our country is we have given politicians so much power that we have Stockholm syndrome to these people. That a politician can shoot and kill one person and be elected on the other person. That a politician like Wanluke can steal billions and billions of shillings, and still you elect this guy as a member of parliament. Do you know what? I saw the people that stole that scandal. There's this lady called Wakungu. I don't know if it's Judy Wakungu or whatever, or the mother. This lady was released by cash bail on bond, cash bail of 800 million shillings. That is close to a bill. Do you know what 1 billion shilling is, bro? If today you are arrested and the cash bail is 1 billion shillings, 95% of we are fucked. You're fucked, man. You're going to jail. That is 1 billion shillings, bro. Yet this Awori family, I like the Awori family. I mean, I like Awori family. They are one of the most educated families. They have a very, like the CEO of, was it Barclays or Absa Awori, Jeremy Awori or somebody. There's a very nice cardiothoracic surgeon. He was my lecturer in Kenech. Is this Awori? I think the brother to the CEO. There's some quite good family members from the Awori family. But again, they are corrupt members from that same family. Very few families can raise 1 billion shillings for a corrupt shosho. In fact, this shosho is 80s or 70s. Normally we just let this shosho to go fucking die or something. But because they stole a lot of money, they can afford. So that's what is happening in healthcare, that these politicians now come in. I think there's a guy called Mkenyanis who said that, the late Mkenyanis, who said that Jumian, that Duale was going to come and play politics. And I at first, I was like, hey, this guy is doing something, but I came to realize, no, it's politics. There is systemic corruption. In fact, during that Adani, if you realize, I'm just giving, I had someone from the council who was giving me tips how systemic corruption in the ministry has happened. So if you look at, there was that story of Shah, of 104 billion shillings. They're talking of the super highway or super technological super highway. Nice terms, okay? And then there is a chairman, the former chairman of KNH, some Indian guy there. Then there is this person from, I don't know if it's Nairobi West or Nairobi, this Indian guy, Nairobi women, one of those, Nairobi, I don't want to quote, there's this, I'm not sure, it's a Nairobi something. I think Nairobi, and I don't want to put myself in trouble. So there was this group of these Indians, not Indians, Arabs and Somalis in the ministry, where you'll talk about the infrastructure of Shah, the claimings, the third party claiming of these insurances, who is collecting money from Shah. And if you do, I was being fed information, just that I'm not in France to be a whistleblower, but you could actually see what the government was trying to do in the Ministry of Health. And that's why somebody asked a very important question, like, Shah, NHF owed hospitals billions of shillings, less spanning 2-3 years. In 2 years, they owned hospitals 30 billion shillings. This one, in 8 months, it's 45 billion shillings. And I always say, these things, the problem in healthcare is not that we don't have systems. We have clear systems on how you are supposed to register a facility, on how you're supposed to do billing. And I don't understand why we have not introduced a billing, in our system, medical coding and billing. Because in the US, for example, every condition has its code. So there's this condition, there's this code, you send this to the insurance, it must tally, failure to which rejected. Okay? So, and that's why I said yesterday, you must be stakeholders of healthcare, because that's where money is looked. In fact, you can imagine this amount of money that is being stolen in healthcare, yet they are vocal. They are giving you updates that we have paid this one. Now imagine in a situation whereby this information was not, how much would have been stolen? Now, as I went up this show, there's something that I saw Tuju speak about, and he was talking about Kenya becoming a failed state. And he was giving a very example. If you look at Kenya, for example, which places can you access comfortably? If you go past Meru, Isiolo, even the whole of, you can't access from there. It's not, you can't really access. You know, I've been to Isiolo. I've driven. If you're driving towards Meru, you go past Meru, you go to Isiolo. Then Thika Road, you go towards Garissa. Then this other side, you go towards West Pokot North. You find that the only places that are accessible in Kenya is just a very small portion. Almost 30% of Kenya is not accessible. The state is not able. The state has consistently failed to make these places accessible. Why is a small country like Kenya, why is Wajir not accessible? Why is Mandera not accessible? Why is Busia accessible and Turkana not accessible? Bro, why is Homa Bay accessible? We are seeing a lot of activities around Lake Victoria and Homa Bay. What about Lake Turkana, which is the biggest lake in Kenya? Do you know what activities go there? So, do you see why these hospitals in Mandera, Wajir are doing these kind of things? You'd expect this thuggery to be a lot in Nairobi, but because Nairobi is accessible, so let's take it to the farthest and widest of corners so that we can steal as much as we can. So you Kenyans need to stand up. I like the fact that I was seeing there's this account, I don't know what it's called, it starts with SH, that is really giving, feedback. They have people on the ground, people are communicating about some of these facilities and the amount they're being paid. So as I conclude this episode of Today on Corruption, we should not be people that normalize corruption. Because you might not like it, but in a few years, we'll be a failed state. With internet now, people see. When we were in school, we just read about scandals on newspapers, those daily. And if you are lucky to go to the library and read the newspaper, that's when you'll get to see about these things called scandals. Right now, it's everywhere in the phone. What do you think we are doing to our kids in primary school? What do you think we are doing to our kids in high school? We are basically telling these people you can actually be thieves. And you see, if you're an intelligent person, you should see the long-term consequences of the things that you do, especially for leaders. So my conclusion is, corruption is not just a political or economical issue. It's a mindset. So let's do what we can to revert that. Thank you very much. Looking forward to the next episode. Thank you.